Hello and welcome everyone to a new Atlas build. This one's going to be featuring Airborne Innovator, Bahorn. So, you've probably seen me allude to this guy several times. He is a Season 2 hero. So he is a G2 hero here. You unlock him in Season 2. So Bahorn, I have been slapping Bahorn on a lot of my different marches, and some people love him, some people hate him, some people say he's more of like a C tier kind of hero, right? And he kind of is, to be honest with you, but then at the same point in time, he's also like a B, A tier hero. I just love how he's so versatile, you can just put him with any kind of march. And we're going to talk about some of those options later on into the video, as I typically do. And I'm just going to show you here. I've got 32 million PvP kills so far in Season 2. That is not going to really be going up at all. The only thing I can do right now is Battle Abyss. I'm not participating in anything else with 664, and I'm going to be stuck in Zone 1 for 666 when I get back over there in 3 days. So, starting off with his skills, we have his rage skill. Rage accumulation cost is 1,000. Pop over the details there. And we have exhaust fumes there. Deals diffuse damage to the target and 2 surrounding legions in an arc. So, diffuse damage, we've explained it before, but for those that don't know, each legion takes 15% less damage per additional target, up to a maximum of 50%. That's just to stop AoE from just being absolutely too absurd. So the legion gains 30 rage per legion hit as well. This is your legion gains the 30 rage. If you're like me and you watch Chisco Gaming, when he initially explains it, he thinks that the 30 rage goes to the enemy, and at the end of the video, he corrects himself. And if you're like me and didn't watch the end of the video, you also thought maybe the 30 rage goes to the enemy. It goes to yourself. So you can gain a bunch of rage accumulation with Bahorn cycling his rage ability cycles there. The second skill here, the first passive ability, Mechanized Army. Legion ignores 10% of enemy attack in the field. Flying legions also gain 10% attack and 20% march speed. Okay. So there's a period there. So Legion ignores 10% of the enemy attack in the field. So the 10% attack resistance you always gain, but if you're using flying troops specifically in your march, so even when you're rallying, if they're all flying units, then you gain also that 10% bonus attack and that 20% march speed. Moving on to the third ability here, the second passive, Legion gains 8% defense. So you gain the flat 8% defense to up to 10% defense when it's level 5, and then based on whether you're infantry, you get the counterattack damage bonus, cavalry units damage dealt bonus. If you're a marksman, the unit's normal attack damage dealt bonus, and then if you're a mage, the magic unit damage taken reduction by 10%. So depending on what march, what type of units you're running Bahorn with, you get a different effect here. So you always get the defensive bonus, but then you get a different effect. Personally, I think the mage one is the weakest out of all of them, because it's not damage, it is defense. But other than that, I love this skill, and it just gives him the versatility to use him with marksmen, use him with cavalry. I haven't seen anybody use him with success with infantry yet, so I'm not going to recommend that one. And then the fourth skill here, just you wait. Upon taking damage, Legion loses 50 rage. Ouch. Deals damage to the target Legion, so damage factor of 300, and gains resistance of up to 10% for 5 seconds. The effect can be triggered every 15 seconds, so it's just an additional 10% damage reduction and a little bit of damage getting dealt back. Losing the rage really sucks. So until you're planning on maxing Bahorn or maxing this skill, I would actually leave him as a 5-5-5-0 to start off with. I would put 0 points in this skill until you're going to start getting that skill ramped up, because 4% damage reduction and 100 skill damage factor isn't necessarily worth losing that 50 rage. And then his Awaken ability there, Fire Lance, after casting Exhaust Fumes, which is the rage ability there, Legion gains normal attack crit rate of 30% for 5 seconds. Alright, so that's on every turn. You get that auto attack. Moving into the talent tree. So I am got 2 different talent trees set up for you here. This one I'm running as with cavalry, maybe marksman if you're running it with some marksman, but you'd most likely run your marksman as a primary. And then the third here is also mages. So this is fantastic for also doing some mages, as long as the other mage isn't Thea, as long as they do have a rage ability that does some damage. So starting off, we have the overall attack, we have the overall movement speed, and we have the overall health. Just the typical standard stuff. Then we're going to go right first, because the skills tree is absolutely amazing. It is my second favorite tree in the entire game. So I am going to be extremely biased here. So we're taking the overall attack because we have to. Then we're taking more hero skill damage. We're ramping up that skill damage. And then we're taking head held high to get a little bit more rage accumulation speed, followed by Spirit of the Rage. When casting rage skills grants an additional 20 rage. Overtaking. When your commander casts a rage skill, your deputy gains 8% more damage the next time they cast a rage skill. You can take either or. It's totally up to you. This will just help with your rage cycle. You are going to be maxing your rage, because remember, we get 30 rage per legion hit, and we're hitting multiple legions. And then an extra 20 flat. You're just going to be raging constantly. Next up, I've gone with the Unquenchable Will over the Detached, and the reason being is when I'm running the Cavalry, when I'm running Celestials, I like to get that little bit extra attack damage in there. This will give you more hero skill damage, and since we're rage cycling, it's absolutely, you can take this. Like, it is 53.4%, so definitely you can go for this. I've just gone up here because I'm using this tree for multiple different marches, for multiple different purposes, so that's why I'm doing that. Then we've gone with Focus. It is the absolute cracked for the Mage talent tree. Nothing else is going to compare to this Focus. So what we're getting is hero skill crit rate of 10% when launching a normal attack. Your Legion has a 10% chance. Okay, more crit, more better. And then next we're getting Raging Tide. Your Legion deals 15% more hero crit damage. Okay, so we've got some crit here, and then we've got more crit bonus damage. That is huge. If that lines up, you are going to be doing massive, massive damage. And then finally, I have taken Thirst for Blood. When casting a rage skill, your Legion deals additional hero skill damage to the target. So this is just flat damage of 60 whenever you're casting a rage skill. Absolutely solid, no cooldown on that, versus Caged Animal. Every time your hero casts a rage skill, they deal 0.5% more hero skill damage, up to a maximum of 8%. This is for long, drawn-out fights, more for like behemoths rather than open field. You're not going to get really that 8% very often in the open field, if almost ever, depending on how you're kind of playing it there. You may get it in a few different situations, especially on a keep, but overall, just Thirst for Blood is kind of just the safe bet. And then I've gone into the PvP tree. We've gotten the overall attack. We've gotten more attack here. So this is just the normal attack over getting the march speed or the defense. So you could always slot in, if you needed the extra 10% march speed, you could always slot it in there. Then we've got with Fury Flame, just so you're aware, head held high and held high do not stack. They will be absolutely separate. So it's both going to be a 10% chance to gain you 50 rage and 10% chance to gain you 50 rage. It is not a 20% chance to gain you 100 rage. Doesn't work like that. So we've gone here and we're getting more hero skill damage, right? We've got the rage accumulation cycle, and now we're getting more hero skill damage, that flat damage, and then we want to launch a crit on top of that. And then after that, we've gone with Army of Valor, just increasing our damage even more every 10 seconds in combat, over getting more defensive stats, okay? And the last point, you can put in overall march speed, you can gain synergy, just whatever you kind of need for your build to fill it out. Go right ahead and do that. So I also run this while I'm running definitely in my attack. So if we're here, that's running Bahorn. So I got Bahorn Moo here. So I've got Bahorn Moo, but if we show you an attack challenge right here, so you'll see I'm running Bahorn first and my Awakened Emeries second. And that's just because this hero skill tree, I've gotten the crit with this Shattering Blow, and I have done 35k damage in a single rage cycle with just Emeries. 35k crit. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. So that's why... That is why we have gone with that route, and I'm also using him with cavalry, so you can put him first there. I've got the 2 separate marches, I've got my Emeries with the mobility tree, and then if I'm, not needing to run very far, I use Bahorn as the primary for cavalry. So you could use that, or you can use this page with mages as well. So it is very versatile. You could even use it with like a Kanara. If you really was putting Bahorn with Kanara, I don't know why you would, but if you were, you could do something like this as well. Now the second page here is Bahorn Thea. So this is if you're running Bahorn with Thea basically exclusively. So Thea here. Now remember, Thea does not, she has a shield for her rage cycle. She does not have a damage there. So, but we've got the 20% move speed with Bahorn, the 20% move speed with Thea. We do not need any march speed on the tree. Okay? So we've gone with the overall attack. This time we're going with overall defense. And then overall health. So this is if you're running the Bahorn Thea kind of in that open field, which is absolutely necessary. Now, it doesn't necessarily matter which direction you go in first. Go left into the overall tree or go right. So going right, we've got the same nodes there, the held high to the Spirit of the Rage. Then we can go up top. We've got the overall attack, we've got more attack, and then we've got Fury Flame, which these are just buffing the Bahorn damage, and we're getting the synergy of that extra 15% damage with the Thea already. So we're pumping Bahorn's damage as well as pumping the auto attack damage. We've got Army of Valor again with just more damage, and then we've got overall health, overall attack because we don't need the march speed. We're not using the defense, and then we've gone with intimidation for more hero skill damage for the Bahorn. Your other option there is taking the Adrenaline Rush. It's your choice whether you want the intimidation or the Adrenaline Rush. And then we've gone with Spirited Response. When your Legion is hit with a normal attack, they gain 4 additional rage. Over the Guardian Angel, when your Legion enters battle, they gain resistance, reducing the damage taken by 4% for 10 seconds. I mean, after the first 10 seconds of battle, it's useless. So if you get hit after the first 10 seconds of battle, this does nothing for you. So we've just gone with Spirited right there. And then I put the final point in Strength to Strength, just giving you an extra 0.3% more damage. So that more damage should be affecting your overall attack as well as your overall skill damage. So this one is exclusively to that Bahorn Thea that I've been with Celestials that I've been running. So, talking about the pairings for Bahorn, being such an overall versatile hero, who can you really pair Bahorn with? What are you going to get with pairing Bahorn? Now, I've already stated that I do not like tanks for him, but if you're going to be putting him with a tank, then you could stick him with the Madeline as if Bahorn's your deputy, you could do Madeline primary. But if we're talking about primary Bahorn, even though he has the infantry counterattack damage, I wouldn't necessarily use him there unless you're using him with Nika, unless you're going for a damaging infantry. It's not my cup of tea, but if that's something you want to do, then you could take that Bahorn and that Nika, and you're just going to be stacking that skill damage factor. You're going to be pumping out the damage. Yeah. So, like I said, and like I've shown before, we could run Bahorn and Thea together. So that's an absolute awesome combo. I've seen many people use that in the field. It's fantastic. I use Bahorn with my Emeries. I do not have Bakshi fully awakened, but I do have my Emeries fully awakened. So it just gives Emeries that extra damage boost with that 1500 damage there. So that is a clear cycle. You've seen me use it before. I've used Moo there with Bahorn. We can use that skill tree, so Bahorn Moo with the skill tree, and we're just making that Jade Pellet even stronger. And we've also got some Battle Medicine for the damage boost there. You can really run Bahorn with any of your mages as well. So you can definitely run your Bahorn with your Atheist. That's a fantastic combo as well. Just getting, you are the Rage Cycle. You could run him with your Waldir. You can run him with your Velen. Because Velen also has that crit. Right there. Crit rate bonus. So we're getting 20% crit rate bonus. Absolutely fantastic. And then I've also tried running Lilia Bahorn before, but you could switch that if you wanted to. So he just fits with so many pairings. When it comes to archers, one of the comments to one of my videos was saying Fragar Bahorn. It's fantastic. And you'll see here, she gains the 60% crit rate for 7 seconds. If Bahorn is awakened, you have an additional, after you cast your rage skill for the next 5 seconds, you have an additional 30% crit chance. So you are at 90% flat crit chance whenever you cast a rage skill if your Bahorn's awakened. So normal attack damage bonus, normal attack crit damage bonus of 30%. So that 30% is affecting that 90% crit rate. So that's an absolute great pairing as well, is that Fragar Bahorn. And this is why I say that these overall heroes are becoming so much higher on my priority list, because I can pair him with whatever I need to pair him with. Yes, I invest him in the open field. If he runs out of stamina, I'm hooped because I can't move him into multiple marches. But as a single investment, I can use my Bahorn with so many different heroes, so many different play styles in the game. It doesn't feel bad to me to invest a little bit into that Bahorn because I'm using him in multiple places with multiple different heroes. So next up, we're going to move into the artifacts. What kind of artifacts are you going to be running with your Bahorn? You're going to be running that Phoenix Eye. You're going to get more attack, more Legion attack. Phoenix Eye, because he's going to be one of your secondary marches. If you're running him with the Lilia, then obviously the Infernal Flame. But with your mages, it's going to be that Phoenix Eye. With your archers, if it's your archer pairing, you're going to want to run... Where are we at? Golden Crest. So if you are running him with the Fragar, you're going to be wanting to run that Golden Crest. That's going to be the #1 artifact there. As you know, I'm not playing archers, so I don't even have it. Depending on Also, you could run him with the Marksman Unit Attack, Legion Attack with the Shadow Blades there. So that's a great artifact as well that you could be running. For your tank, if you did run him tank, I don't know why you would. I mean, oh yeah, Spring Blades. Spring Blades is obviously what I'm running him with infantry, or not with infantry, with cavalry. So if I am running him with the Emrys, then I'm running him with the Spring Blades. With your tanks, you've got Fang of Ashkari. You've got the Dragon Scale armor. You have the Deathless Vines. There's so many options. If you are running him with infantry, you don't run out of options there. So you also have, for epic artifacts there, you also have the Heart Piercer if he is being run with the Fragar, or your Nico, or anything like that. For cavalry, you've got a bunch of different options. You've got the Runic Longsword. I'm running the Crown of the Berserker for the Keen, the March Speed, and the Defensive Break. So I've got that there, which I think I should get that 40 out of 40, because I am using that still. I'm using that still in Season 2 here as my 3rd Cavalry March artifact. Yeah, I know. Not maybe the smartest thing to do, but it allows me an investment that I put in Season 1 to carry over into Season 2 here. And then obviously you have that Magic Bomb that you could run. Now if you are running him with your Velen or Waldir, then you're getting that Hoarfrost, so you would take the book here instead of the Magic Bomb. But those are two epic artifacts that you could be running him with as well. Now in terms of pets, what is going to be the best pet for Bahorn? If I'm running him with the Emrys, I am running him with the Golden Rock here. I've got decent stats. I need to switch out the Heart Wall. I get it. Not a good pet. I've just been running that with the most minimalist investment that I possibly could. I've put nothing into this pet. This is basically these four. I put in Intense Chain Strike and Fierce Attack. That's all I've slotted in, but he was a 4 slot. I rolled him like 5 times and got this. Whatever. It is what it is for the moment. Until I do work on a better Golden Rock. That's what I've got for my Emrys. For your Sapphire Phaedrake, I am running with the Celestials. That's going to be absolutely the #1 there. And then for your tanks and primarily your archers, you might have a Venomous Lizard there, just dealing that counterattack damage with your counter strike package and a little extra crit that you've got going on. You could also use something along the lines of a Shadow Manticore, just with him being overall. Depends on who you're slotting him with, depends on where he's going, what you're doing with it. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this little Bahorn overview. Him being a flying, him being overall, just makes him so versatile, and you can really slot him anywhere. I do think that he is the worst for pairing with Celestials. I think this 3rd skill sucks. To be frank, it's extra defense, which you don't. I want more damage because I want to just sit back and deal more damage, as well as Fire Lance really isn't doing a whole lot for you if you're running him with the Celestials. But other than that, his first 2 skills I think are absolutely fantastic. I love them to bits. I'm a little 50-50 on this one. I think it's pretty bad in most situations and scenarios, but it's there. He's got 2 first-grade skills, and then 2 mediocre skills, followed by a very interesting Awaken skill there. So hopefully that sheds some light on Bahorn there.